Anybody familiar with this term double check in chess? Raise your hand if you know what's double check. Okay, yes, what's double check?
It's like a king is checked by like two pieces, both checking the king.
Okay, it's when you making a move and checking opponent's king with two pieces at the same time. Very good. And normally when you do that, if the king is under a check, he has to move somewhere. If the king cannot go anywhere, it's going to be a checkmate. Okay? Because you cannot block two checks in one move. Or you cannot capture two pieces in one move. So that's why double check is a very strong tactical idea. If you get a chance, you always have to look for double checks. Sometimes it's not there. Like in this particular example I set up for you here, there is no double check immediately. But you need to think and create one. Okay? So in this position, white is going to be able to win in 3 moves. Mate in 3, white to play mate in 3, and the team would be a double check idea. Okay? And I want you to spend some time and raise your hand if you see it, okay? But let's spend a little bit of time here to see how we can try to come up with the double check idea and checkmate in 3 moves. Again, double check is a very strong tactical idea that you should definitely know. Okay? Let's see. Look at the king. The king. So the king is the target here, right? This king is weak. So what can we try to do so we can set up a mating idea? Yes?
Get the queen to the line of the bishops so they're both protecting each other.
Okay, but how you want to do that? What's the first move? Move the rook up to 1 square, or
That one.
here?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say you move the rook up. Now you're threatening to bring the queen here and checkmate.
Yeah.
Because you opened up. Very good. You see that then you have a bishop and queen. When you have bishop and queen on the same diagonal, what do we call that? What do we call when you have a bishop and queen on the same diagonal? Yes? Battery. Excellent. So remember, bishop and queen on the same diagonal, that's a battery. It's a very strong battery. Yes, you have a question?
But if you kept the rook where it was, you move it to the that part of the board and then move it up, and then that's double check.
Well, you're trying to move the rook here?
Yeah, and then you move it up.
Yeah, but when you make a move, I'm going to make a move for black too, right? So remember, you make one move, I make one move. So first, it's very important to recognize what we have here, right? Yeah. So we recognize what we have in this position. So we have a potential battery here too, okay? So how can we do that here to set up the checkmate? So who can tell me the first move here? The move you suggested, rook going back, it's an okay move. But see, I can push my pawn and block it. And I will block the diagonal, okay? So that's why you need to do something with the check, okay? You need to do something with the check to be able to find the checkmate in 3 moves. And the idea is double check idea. Yes?
Queen to G6.
G7. Queen to G7, but if you go here, right? Did you see that the rook is blocking the bishop? So I actually can take. See, if the rook wasn't there, that would have been a checkmate. So, but we have a strong idea on this diagonal. See, when the bishop and queen on the same diagonal, again, so a lot of people just came in. It's called a battery. Okay, when you have a bishop and queen on the same diagonal. Raise your hand if you see the mate in 3 now. Let's see. This is a very exciting position. Okay, just raise your hand. Yeah, don't need to make any noise. Yeah, just raise your hand. Okay, only 1. Okay, 2. Okay, good, very good. Let's see. Okay, what's the first move? Just the first move. What do you think?
Queen to H8.
Aha.
Good shot.
Very good. Queen H8.
Good shot.
Sacrificing the queen, and for a moment it looks like must be a blunder because black king just can take it, right? Nothing is really protecting it. But now the king is going to be on the same diagonal as the bishop. Now comes the double check. Do you see the double check now? Yes.
Rook to all the way to the
Try to see the square. See, we have the letters here.
H.
H. That will be H and the numbers, right? Try to say the square. Rook H2 check. Is it just a check or double check?
Double checkmate.
Wait. It's not double checkmate. It's not a mate yet. See?
Well, it's going to be a mate.
See, this was the example I was telling you, that when you check with two pieces at the same time,
Double check.
he has to move the king. For example, if black rook was here on g8, this would have been what?
Checkmate.
Checkmate, right? Because the king cannot go there. Now he has to go here, and now, let's see. How many people see the checkmate in one move now? Yes?
Move that one way up there.
Okay, this is the rook, right? Rook. And what square is this here? Which file is this? Look at here.
G8.
No, it's H. See? H. Rook H8. Okay? Checkmate. Okay, very good. Very good, yes. Okay, so did everybody see this one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it again. Let's do it again. This is very important because you can win a lot of games if you know this double check idea. And here we don't have it right away, but we have to sacrifice the queen, the most valuable piece, to create the double check and then the mate. Okay, let's go over this one more time. What's the first move? Okay, let's see. Yes. Queen to h8 check. Has to take it. And now follow it up. Yes.
Rook to H2.
Rook to h2, double check. Right? And when there is a double check, remember, king has to go somewhere because he cannot just block two checks in one move or capture two pieces in one move. Has to go somewhere. If the king has no squares to go to, means it's a checkmate. So now king has to go to g8 and see the mate? Yes. Rook to h8, checkmate. Okay, excellent, very good. Okay, now let's take a look at this position. It looks like white made several mistakes now because he's down a rook and a bishop at least. Okay, let's just raise your hand. Remember, just raise your hand if you see the mate. So again, white is down a rook and a bishop. But it's white to play. And you can use the idea I told you about, double check. And find the checkmate here again in 3 moves. So let's spend a little bit of time that everybody will think and try to find also, okay? Always look at the opponent king. Where is the black king? And what can you do here? It's mate in 3. White to play mate in 3. Okay, we have a lot of hands. That's good. Let's see. You see it too? Okay, good. You see it too? Okay, excellent. Okay, all right. Let's see. Okay. You want to try? No, not ready? Okay, let's see. Yes.
Bishop to G5.
Bishop to G5. It's a pretty good move, and you are creating a threat of Queen D8 mate, right? But the thing is, he's gonna move and block it. Okay? So that's why we don't have time. We have to make a move that is gonna be a check. Okay? Because otherwise, he's gonna move the bishop and block it. Okay. So let's see here. What can we do? Look at the king now. Okay. Yes, in the back. Queen D8, check. Now, again, it looks like he can just take the queen, right? Nothing is really protecting it. Now he takes the queen, and now what are you gonna do? You need to follow it up here precisely because the king is on the same line as the rook and the bishop. Yes.
Bishop to G5.
Bishop to G5. Check with the bishop and check with the rook, right? It's a double check again. When there is a double check, king has to go somewhere. If he cannot go anywhere, again, it's going to be a mate. So king has to go to E8, and now let's see the checkmate. Yes. Rook. Rook to d8, checkmate. All right. Let's go back and see this. This is a real position from a real game, actually. We can have this kind of position. If you know this idea, sacrifice the queen and then follow it up with a double check. Okay? So remember that. So again, let's go over this one more time. Queen d8 check. King has to take, no choice. Now bishop to g5 check. King goes back to e8 and rook d8 mate. Now, similar position. I'm going to change the position a little bit, okay? A little bit, so you can see if you can find it here. Let's see. Just a little bit I changed the position now. Let's see if we can find a checkmate in 3 again. The same idea doesn't work because the pawn on e7 is already blocking this diagonal. So now you have to do it different. But since you know the idea, I think it will be easy for you to find this one too. Okay, just guys, just raise your hand, okay? I can see your hand, perfect. Okay, let's see. It's similar. It's similar to the previous. It's just a little bit different because the pawn on e7 again. This pawn is blocking this diagonal. So if you go there with the bishop, it's not going to be a double check. You have to use a double check idea here to find the checkmate. Let's see. Yes. Queen d8 check again. Now has to take it. Now look at the king. What can you do now? Yes. Okay, all right. Okay, you will find the next one. Okay, bishop a5 check. Now it's check with the bishop and with the rook. Again, double check, right? King has to go to e8 only move. And now what do you do? To find the mate. Yes. Okay. There we go. Rook to d8 mate. Okay. You see this idea? Okay, very good. So it's very similar, but you have to, when you have a bishop, you have to look because the bishop can go both ways. Can go to a5 and can go to g5 here too. So again, we start with queen d8 check, and if he takes, bishop a5 check, king on e8, and rook d8 mate. Okay. Now in this position, White is down a knight and 2 pawns, so it's down lots of material. But now you have to make sure you find a way to. It's a checkmate in 2 moves. This one in 2. This is checkmate in 2. Okay. Okay. Let's think about it for a little bit. Again, you have to look at your bishop when you you have to look at your bishop here because the bishop is a very important piece. It's white to play. Again, don't rush, think. Okay, good. It has to be a check. It has to be a check. Remember, the first move has to be a check. Okay?
It's kind of like a check.
Kind of.
Check. Rook to c8 and then rook and then.
See, he's saying rook c8, which is it's a good move, but it's not a check, right? That gives me time to think of a defense. For example, I may go here and say check to you now. See? Sorry. So it's not so clear. So you have to look for a check. First move has to be a check. Okay? Yes.
Queen to g7.
Queen to g7. Sacrificing the queen. So king has to take it, no choice. Right?
Yeah.
King takes, and now discovery double checkmate. Let's see. It's also a discovery idea now. Yes.
Rook to G3.
Uh-huh. Rook to G3. You check with the bishop and the rook.
Checkmate off.
And king cannot go anywhere. It's a discovery, double checkmate.
Yeah, right.
If the knight wasn't on h6, then he could escape. But here, he cannot go anywhere. Okay, so let's do this again, this idea. So we start with queen g7 check. He has to take it. And then you move the rook to g3 and mate. Okay? Okay, next position. Okay, let's take a look at this position. If it's black to play, he's gonna just take this pawn and checkmate in one move. Okay? So that's why you have to be very careful. If you make a move that is not check, then he's gonna take on g2 and it's gonna be a mate. Okay? So that's why you don't want to rush here. So think about an idea that you can do. It's a checkmate in 3 moves again. It's 3 moves now. We're back to 3 move checkmates now. Again, using the double check idea. But we don't have it here. We need to create one. Okay? That's what you need to do here. You need to create the double check and then follow it up with a checkmate. Okay, just raise your hand. Let's see. Let's give a little bit more time. Let's give a little bit more time so everyone can think. They have time to think and try to find it. So think of an idea now. Where can you force the black king to go to here so you have a double check idea? Where can you force the king? Okay. Okay. Okay, yes. First move. Give us the first move.
To F8.
Queen to F8 check. See? Did you see this move? It's a long range move. That's why when you play chess, you always have to look at the entire board. Because sometimes your good move is from one side to the other side of the board. You can't just focus on one area, thinking you have something on a king side or queen side. You have to look at the whole 64 squares. And to find this kind of move, it's a long range move. You go queen F8 check. Now, does black have any options except taking the queen? Any options? No. Has to take it. Now, you successfully force his king on the same line where your rook and bishop is. Now, what are you going to do? And by the way, normally when you do a double check, it involves another idea called discovery. Okay? Discovery. You can't just, it's a discovery move too, to do the double check. Now, do you see the double check? Yes.
Bishop to E, no, yeah, E, C.
You have to check the king too.
C6.
D6.
Yes, D6.
D6. All right, very good. Bishop D6. Now check. Did everyone see now? It's a double check idea again, right? So, but the king has a square to go to, so that's why it's not a checkmate yet. He's gonna go to E8, and now, and this already is similar to the previous positions they did. Now, checkmate in 1. Let's see. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
The rook up to F8.
Rook to F8. Checkmate again. Okay? So do you see in these examples it shows how strong double check can be. It's a very strong idea, double check. And again, if you have one, you go, like we did one like before this, it was right there. We sacrifice. And here you sacrifice the queen to force the king to go there, and then we go with the bishop check. Has to go to E8 and then checkmate. Okay, now I have another position for you here. Okay, the next position we have here, it's white to play checkmate in 3. Let's think about it a little bit first, and then raise your hand. Think about it first. It's white to play checkmate in 3. Again, we're still on the same topic. Discovery, double check. It's 3 moves. Okay, don't rush. Check. Double check your answer. So let's give a minute or two so everyone can think and raise your hand. You know, even if you're not 100% sure, it's okay. Just raise your hand and give it a try. Okay? Because you get a lot better by actually finding these moves. Even sometimes it's not correct, it's okay. So one thing you have to realize here, we have a bishop and a queen on the same diagonal. Again, what do we call that when we have a bishop and queen on the same diagonal? Battery, okay. Battery, okay? So there is a potential strong battery on this diagonal. But we need to find a way to weaken the position of the king. Okay? And I need you, the reason we're doing this so you can recognize these patterns, okay? In your games, when you have it, you should do a lot of these positions so when you actually have in your game, you can see it. Because now when I'm setting it up, you already know that there is something. But when you play your games, no one is going to tell you that there is something there. So you should actually feel it, that there is something. And then you will find the solution here. So let's see. Mate in 3, using the discovery ideas, okay? The first move is very important, because if you don't find the first move, then it's going to be a problem. And by the way, if you look at the material, who has more material in this position? Black, right? Black has 2 rooks, white doesn't have even 1. So if, let's say, the queens come off the board, endgame is going to be easily won for black. So you can't do that. You have to find something very strong here. So let's see now. Yes, in the back. You could move the bishop on a4, but do you see that he wants to take your queen? You're going to take his queen, but you're going to lose your queen. And then you cannot checkmate. First move has to be a check. Remember, this position, I'm setting it out, the first move has to be a check, because otherwise black is going to have time to defend. So you have to look for a check first move. Yes? Yes.
F6.
Excellent. Queen to f6 check. Now,
Double check.
he takes, right now it's just a check, right? Now he takes the bishop. Now, don't rush. You have 2 different double checks. And that's why this is a little bit tricky. You have 2 different double checks. Which one is the best? If you play the wrong one, you're not going to be able to checkmate. If you play the correct one, you're going to be able to do checkmate in 2 moves. Again, you have 2 different double checks. You have 2 different ones. And it's always tricky in chess. Oftentimes we make a mistake when there are too many good possibilities and you choose the wrong one. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Who wants to give a try? There are 2 of them. Which one is the best? Yes.
Knight to e4.
Excellent. Knight to e4. See, there are options to go with knight d5 too. But if you go knight d5, you're going to allow the king to escape on g5. And then it's going to be much harder to win. You might still be able to do it, but it's not going to be that clear. That's why I was saying, check your answer, right? I say check your answer, because it's a trick here, because there are too many of them. So knight e4 was excellent. Now, it's a double check. What's the only move here for black? What's the only move here for black to go to avoid? Yes.
Black king to 7
e7. e7. King to e7. Only move. And now, time to checkmate. Yes.
Bishop to F6.
Yeah. Excellent. Bishop goes to f6, and the black king is checkmated. Actually, it's kind of like a smother mate idea, because the squares, the rooks are guarding, his own pieces are blocking the king to go to. And now he can't go anywhere. You have a question?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I was thinking there was nothing.
Okay. Okay, and now it's a mate. King has no squares to go to, okay? So let's do this again one more time. This is a little trickier, okay, than the other ones, because it's you have option to go wrong. You have two of them, two checks. Okay, how do we start here? The first move. What was the first move here? Remember? Yes. Queen takes f6 check. Now, we're also going to look at the possibilities if he doesn't take. If he goes here, who can show me the checkmate in one move? One move. One move. Only one move, it's going to be a checkmate now. Yes. Excellent. See, you also look at the moves going back. Not always you look at the moves going forward, you also look at the moves that are going back. Sometimes the strong move is the move that you go back. And now you go bishop c1, and now checkmate. Can't do anything. Excellent. And if he goes here now, how can you win this game here? What you need to do here to be able to checkmate here? Look at his dark squares, right? You want to find a way to checkmate him on g7 or h8. But what you need to do in order to be able to do that? Yes? You forgot? Okay, it's okay. Yes?
Queen to g7.
You want to do that, but you can't do right away because the knight is blocked. Okay? What can you do with this knight first? Think of doing something with this knight first, and then queen g7 or queen h8 will be unstoppable checkmate. Yes?
Knight to d5.
Knight to d5. And now he takes, and then we can choose from where we want to checkmate, from g7 or from h8, no difference. Okay? So again, we start out with queen f6 check. King goes, if he goes to h8, h6, we do a checkmate from c1. Very important to see the moves going back too. Okay? And now if he goes to g8, we take the pawn, open up the diagonal, and checkmate. Now, and if he takes, and this is the tricky part because he had two different ways to do a double check. It's possible to go wrong here. It's possible to go wrong here. So which one is the best here? Which move? Yes. Check. You take away the g5 square so he cannot go anywhere. Taken, taken, taken. So has to go back on e7, only move. And now, time to checkmate, right? Raise your hand if you see the checkmate now. You should see the mate now. How can you check his king to say checkmate? Yes. Which piece is going to checkmate, huh? Look at the king. Bishop. Here. That's bishop, right? And that's f-file. We say bishop f, and that's the sixth rank, right? So that will be bishop f6. Checkmate. All right? Okay, good. All right, very good. We continue. We continue on this topic here. Okay. This is a different idea than the previous ones, okay? This is a little bit different. Okay, let's see. He's got so many extra pieces, so you have to find a way to check, right? Think about it. Okay, yes. You could do that, but the thing is, you have to make a move with a check.
There's a checkmate in one if you move the rook.
Yeah, because you know black is threatening check you too. Okay, check from here. So if we make a rook move, we're not checking him. That will allow him to make a move. So you need to find a way to check him. Okay, the first move has to be a check. First move has to be a check.
Move the queen to h7.
Queen takes h7. Excellent. Again, it's a sacrifice of the queen. Now, he has to take it. No choice. King takes h7. Now what move we need here? What move we need here? Yes.
To h2.
Double check. Rook to h2. Move the rook. Double check. Check with the bishop. And check with the rook. Right?
His only option is to move back.
Only option is to move back. And once the king is moving back now, what do we do to find the checkmate? Yes.
Bishop to h7.
Absolutely. Checkmate. Okay? Because the king is trapped again. Trapped by his own pieces. It's kind of a smother mate idea. Okay? How many of you know the smother mate idea? Okay, so we will do the smother mate next, okay? Because I think it will be very useful to know this one, okay? White to play. Again, it involves a double check idea. White to play checkmate in 3. Okay?
One of my favorites.
Okay. This is called smother mate, okay? You will see at the end of the line why is it called smother mate, okay? Because black king is going to be smothered by his own pieces. Pawns and rook, and then you're going to be able to checkmate. Okay, everyone should be looking at the screen, okay? And try to find the checkmate in 3 move. That involves a double check now. Right away, double check needed. Right away. The next move should be a double check to start the combination. Yes?
Knight to h6.
Excellent. Knight to h6, double check. If the king didn't have the square to go to, this would have been a mate already. So, but he has a square to go to h8. It's a check with the queen and with the knight. And now, okay, just raise your hand. That's good. Okay, now what's the move here? This is really the hard move is right here, because you need to set up the checkmate. Yes.
Queen to g8.
Queen to g8, sacrificing the queen. Now king cannot capture because the knight is protecting it, so he has to take with the rook, which is the only move. And now look at this king, kind of smothered, right? It looks smothered. So now, what do? You can win so many games like this, in the blitz games especially. In this combination, you can do it. Now, what's the next move now? Let's see. Yes? Huh? F7 what? Knight. Knight. There you go. Knight F7 checkmate. Look at that. Can't go anywhere. Can't go here. Rook is taking the square and the pawns are blocking. This is the smother mate. So if you heard the name smother mate, it means this position. This is the this is how it looks like, the smother mate, okay? King is smothered and cannot go anywhere. Let's go back and do this again. It's a very common idea. In a lot of Grandmaster games, when they play against each other, this is always seen, this tactical idea. So we try to prevent this, and if we're trying to attack, we try to do this. So let's see again. White to play mate in 3. Raise your hand. Yes, first move.
Knight to h6.
Double check. Has to go to h8. And now, next move.
Queen to g8.
Very good. Queen to g8 check. Can't take it. Knight is guarding, so has to take with the rook. And now the king is smothered. See, always remember this position where the king is smothered like this, okay? And then you use a knight. That's why they say knight is a very tricky piece. See, if you had a bishop or rook, you couldn't check in this position. But only with the knight you can check here. That's why the knight is very strong piece. And what do? To checkmate. Okay, only with the knight. If you had any other piece, you couldn't do a checkmate in this position. Only with the knight you can do that. Okay? Okay, the king and pawn endgame. It seems like it should be easy to play king and pawn endgames because not that many pieces on the board. But you will be surprised. So many tricks that you need to know about these positions. So I have a question for you. If it's white to play, is this a win or a draw? If it's white to play, it's very important in these positions whose move is it. So if it's white to play, it's a win or a draw?
It's a win.
It's a draw.
Win?
It's a
Okay, let's see. Raise your hand if you think it's a win. With white to play, it's a win. Raise your hand. Not so sure anymore. Okay. So it's a win?
I think it's a win.
Okay. Raise your hand if you think it's a draw with white to move. Okay, we have more hands. So in fact, it's a little bit strange, but in this particular position, if it's your move to make, it's a disadvantage. Normally in chess, if we're gonna move, that's an advantage to have. But in this position, it's a disadvantage. Because in this position, when the kings are in front of each other, what do we call this when the kings in front of each other?
opposition.
Opposition. Not opposition, yeah. Okay, so it's an opposition. And whichever side is going to move here, white or black, they will lose the opposition. Opposition is the key here to make a draw for the player down a pawn. Is a key to make a draw. And a player who is up a pawn is a way to win the game. So if it's a white to play, this position is a draw. If it's a black to play, it's a win for white. Now we will see the both scenarios here. So first, if it's white to play, you move the king. Now, what's the move to make a draw here? To get the opposition again. Yes? Absolutely. Now, white to move, that means black has the opposition. If he goes back, we go back. Nothing really happening. So he will repeat. Eventually, he will start pushing the pawn. The only way to win this position is you have to get your king in front of the pawn. If you cannot do that, it's going to be a draw. And here, as you can see, white cannot get the king in front of the pawn. And now, what are you going to play here for black? To make a draw? Again, if you go wrong, you can lose this position. That's why you must know how to play these positions for both sides. What's the move here?
King to D6.
Here? No, D6 is here. You can't come here. E7. You go here, in front of the pawn, okay? You go in front of the pawn. This is very important. Now, white has no options. He's going to push the pawn. E6. Now, you have actually 4 different moves here for black. 3 of the moves you make, you're going to lose. Only 1 move is going to make a draw here. Do you know the correct move here? Raise your hand if you know this position or you've studied before. It's one of the most important king and pawn endgame positions. Do you know this position?
I lost with it because I always thought that. Well, I've lost with it, but I think the correct move is for the king to go straight back.
No, correct move is king e8. Okay?
Right, straight back.
See, this squares I'm highlighting, you go here, you're going to lose the game. See, all the squares you go, you're going to lose the game. Because if you go here, he will just go here and then you're not blocking the pawn anymore. You just push and queen. If you go here now, he's going to step up and it's black to move. That means who has the opposition?
White.
White has the opposition. He has to move. You push the pawn. He's going to get out. You come forward and you queen. Same thing is going to happen here because if you go here, you're going to step up. And what kind of opposition is this? Do you know what kind of opposition is this? Diagonal. Diagonal opposition, okay? Because on a diagonal now, he comes up, you push, he's going to get out, and you queen. And you win the game. So, you have to play king 8. Always remember, At the final stage here, you go back facing the pawn, okay? Because now if it comes up, what do? Can take it. Opposition, right? Yes.
King to D8.
Now he pushes the pawn.
Check.
Check. You go back here. Now if he goes away from the pawn, you can just capture the pawn. And if he goes to E6, what is this? Stalemate. Okay? Remember stalemate. Everybody know what stalemate?
Yeah.
Everybody should know what stalemate. Yes.
So from when that position first started, from when you first set it up, there is no way for white to get their pawn in from there.
Now, if it's white to play, no. If it's black to play, we're going to look at that now. If it's a black to play, it's a win. If it's a white to play, it's a draw. Okay.
What about two squares away each other?
Yeah, that's a little bit different. We'll talk about that later. That's different position a little bit. But again, I just want to kind of go over the stalemate idea because I want to make sure everybody knows the stalemate. Stalemate is basically for black is now stalemated because he's not under a check, okay? But he doesn't have any other legal moves to make. So any move he makes is going to be illegal now. Like he can't go here, right? That will be illegal. Pawn is guarding it, and king, and he can't go here. King is guarding. So it's a stalemate. It means a draw. Because black doesn't have any legal moves to make, and you can make an illegal move. Okay? So that's fine. Now, so let's do this again. I will play this for white, and you play as black. Let's see if you can play the good defense and make a draw here. What's the correct move for black now? I will play for the white side. You play as black here. Yes. We repeat. I push. Now, what's next? What do you do here?
King E7.
Where do you go now? Here where you can go wrong. See, a lot of people get to this position and then they don't know the best defense here. And if you don't know the defense or you try to guess, most likely you're going to go wrong and lose. Because as I mentioned, see these highlighted squares? You go to any of these squares, you lose the game. See, it's easy to go wrong. Three different squares you go to, you lose. Only one you draw. So what's the correct move here to make a draw? Remember? What's the correct move? Yes.
King to E8.
Excellent. You face the pawn. Yeah? Very good. Go in front of the pawn. Now he goes here. Continue. You need to get the opposition, right? Kings in front of each other. We call that an opposition. Yes. Huh? D8. I have to push, no choice. Now, of course, you have to block the pawn. And if he goes here, and everyone should know, what do we call this position?
Draw.
Draw because of stalemate. Stalemate. Remember that, okay? It's a stalemate. Now, we go back to the same position. And we're going to make this position black to move. And we're going to see why this position is winning now. If it's a black to move, that means he has to move the king. And means you have the opposition. So let's say he moves here. You go to F6. He goes back here. Again here. You can make a wrong move. And it's going to be a draw. You go back. And you get the opposition. Okay? You don't rush advancing the pawn. You go back and you get the opposition again. Now he goes to D8 or F8. And what's the winning move now? Everyone should be watching the screen. It's very important, okay, this position. Everyone should be watching so they know what to do in these positions, okay? How they can win this position. So,
D7.
king to D7. And now king F7, and he can't do anything to stop this pawn. You push. Push. And do you know how to checkmate with the queen?
Yeah.
Yes? Everyone knows? Okay. So, okay, I will show you how to do it, okay? basically the way you want to checkmate here, you want to make sure you don't give any checks. You're only going to give check one time at the end of the game when you say checkmate. So remember that. You don't give any checks until the last move, okay? So I'll show you the most effective way how to drive opponent king to the corner and checkmate. So you make a move. Now he comes up, and you always take the square. The opponent king was there. The previous square opponent king was there. So you come up. You come up. You take the square that he was previously. Without checking, okay? Now if he goes here, you step here. Cut the king now. So he can't go to the F file anymore. Goes here. Take the square. Again, cut. See, eventually it looks like a big board, but eventually it's going to run out of squares. So you step up now. Do you want to put the queen here?
No, stalemate.
If you put the queen here, I've seen a lot of people do this. They play quickly they move, and then at the end they make another quick move, and then stalemate. Draw. Okay? So you have to make sure you leave your opponent this square so he can go back and forth, okay? So you don't stalemate. And now, I actually stalemated somebody when I just started playing chess, and I didn't know this stalemate idea, and I was winning, and I stalemate somebody like this. So you go up. Now you want to bring your king to F3. And when the king is on F3, he goes here.
Oh.
And what's the mate? Checkmate in one move.
Queen to G2.
Excellent. Okay? So remember, when you get a queen versus the king, I see a lot of people, they know it's a win, but they don't know exactly how to do it. And they just start checking. When you start checking the king, it's not going to be effective. That's why you don't give any checks. You drive the king to the corner by taking all the squares. And at the end, at the very end, you do a checkmate. And you have to make sure you don't stalemate. Okay? So it's very important when you do this idea, you don't accidentally go here thinking that you take away squares, because eventually now no more squares. It's going to be a stalemate. Okay? All right, let's go over this one more time to see how you win this position. Okay, so black goes here. Let's see if you can win this for white now. What's the best move here for white? To advance the pawn, right? Remember, to advance the pawn. What do you do now? Let's see, what's the move here? See? Yes. No. If you go king d5, then he goes back. He just goes back here. So, okay. So, see, that's why you have to be very paying attention, close attention, so you can see how to win this. He steps away. Now you get your king ahead. Yes.
King to F6.
Very good. Now he goes back here. Now if you go wrong here, it's going to be a draw. And what's the winning move here? What's the winning move here now? You don't want to allow the opposition. What's the move here? We want to get the opposition one more time. Because if we push the pawn here, it's going to be a draw. He's going to go here and get the opposition. So you want to get the opposition. Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Move the king to E6.
Aha! Now you get the opposition again. Now he has to step away, this way or that way, doesn't matter. Let's say he goes this way now. Where do we go with the king? So we can promote our pawn into a queen? Yes?
King to E7.
F7, right? F7. E7 is here. So he goes here, and now he cannot stop your pawn anymore from promoting into a queen. So you go here, push, and let's do one more time. How do we do the checkmate here? Let's say he goes here. Now, I want you to do it precisely the way I told you to do it, okay? Without giving any checks. Drive the king to the corner. Who wants to go first? Yes.
Queen to E7.
Okay. Next.
Queen queen to e6.
Very good. Yes? e5. Now he goes here. Continue. Remember, no checks, right? Very good. Now he goes to other file. You go that way too. Remember, if you go to e3, it will be a check, remember? We don't want to check. We only check one time at the end of the game when we say checkmate. No need to check here. Yes? Again, you cut the square so you can go to. He goes here. Continue.
Queen to d4.
Now, what do you do now? Remember?
Queen to c5.
Yes?
Queen to c4.
Now,
Queen to
b5. Now he goes here. See, this is the most effective way to checkmate with the queen and king. And now, yes.
queen b4.
Now he goes here. Very important move here. What's the move here? Remember? Because if you go wrong here, it's going to be a stalemate. Yes.
Queen to b1. b1.
No, this is b1. You don't want to go here, right? And remember the trick, right? If you go here, stalemate. So right here you stop. You want to leave the king a square to go to, okay? You want to leave this square so you can go back and forth, back and forth. And now you want to bring your king right here. I need you to bring the king right there to checkmate, okay? That's what you got to do, okay? Now go ahead, bring the king. Yes. Very good. Now he goes here. Continue. Just bring the king. That's all what you got to do here. Bring the king. Now he goes here. Yes.
Queen to b3.
C4. This is B3. You can't go here yet, right? So you get closer by going here. Now he goes here. And now, one more move with the king we need. One more move, right?
King to c3.
Excellent. And now, once the king is already on c3, it's time to checkmate. And now, what's the last move here? Yes.
Queen to
You. Yeah.
Queen to 2b. b2.
Queen, b2. Checkmate. Okay, very good. Okay, so that's how you checkmate. So again, very important to remember. When you see this king and pawn positions, don't just think one side is winning because of the extra pawn. Try to first see whose move is it. And it's very important to know whose move is it. Okay? Yes?
So is it better, okay, because the way it was kind of, I think I learned it. When the black king, when we start the opposition,
Yes.
Is it when the black king is on that 7th rank?
No. Opposition is just, the kings are in front of each other, one's queen separates them. That's opposition. Okay? When the kings are in front of each other, that's the opposition. If it's only one square separates them. So it's important to whose move is it, okay?
Okay.
It's important whose move is it. If it's white to move, we saw that it's a draw. It's a disadvantage to have the move actually here.
Okay.
So if it's a black to move, again, it's a disadvantage for black. In that case, he loses.
So even if the white king steps backwards?
No. If you step backwards, you lose now. It will be a draw.
It would be a draw, so.
If it's white to move, it's draw regardless already. Okay? And if it's a black to move, he moves away, and you activate your king.
Okay.
Okay? I recommend practicing these positions, okay? Against a friend or somebody, just set up this position and practice. More you play this position, you will understand even better, okay? So remember, it's a disadvantage for the side to move here. Okay? If it's white, it's a draw, because you lose the opposition. If it's black to move, then white wins because he's going to be able to promote. And always remember the double check ideas. Okay? We did a lot of them today. The double check ideas. It's a very strong tactical idea. When you do a double check, opponent has to move the king because he can't block 2 checks in one move. Okay? Okay, everyone. Good job. Okay.